Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayādvaita Swami Namani Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshataya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Radha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Bharamamsa Parivrajakacharya Shtotra Shata Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shyamukund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bom. I see we have Madhupati Puran, so before I begin introductions, Prabhuji, we're on 4:20:18. If you would start the reading once I do the introduction. Today is, actually what is today? August 4th. Monday, August 4th. It is 1 p.m. here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and we are commencing with Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text 18. We're, of course, with His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj. Thank you for being here with us. And Madhupati Prabhu, if you would commence with Om Namo Bhagavate and our verse.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatmadhirayat Nashtaprayeshva Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtiki. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Namne Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvichesha Sunnivadi Pasyate Shatani. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text number 18. The chapter is titled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena of Maharaj Pitu. Sprishantam padayo premna vriditam svena karmana satah kratum parisvajya vidvesham visasarjaha. As King Indra was standing by, he became ashamed of his own activities and fell down before King Pitu to touch his lotus feet. But Prithu Maharaj immediately embraced him in great ecstasy and gave up all envy against him for his having stolen the horse meant for the sacrifice. There are many cases in which a person becomes an offender to the lotus feet of a Vaishnava and later becomes repentant. Here also we find that although the king of heaven Indra was so powerful that he accompanied Lord Vishnu, he felt himself a great offender for stealing Prithu Maharaj's horse that was meant for sacrifice. An offender at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is never excused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many instances illustrating this fact. Amrish Maharaj was offended by Durvasa Muni, a great sage and mystic yogi. And Durvasa also had to fall down at the lotus feet of Amrish Maharaj. Indra decided to fall down at the lotus feet of King Prithu, but the king was so magnanimous, a Vaishnava, that he did not want Maharaj Indra to fall down at his feet. Instead, King Prithu immediately picked him up and embraced him, and both of them forgot all the past incidents. Both King Indra and Maharaj Prithu were envious and angry with each other. But since both of them were Vaishnavas or servants of Lord Vishnu, it was their duty to adjust the cause of their envy. This is also a first class example of cooperative behavior between Vaishnavas. In the present days, however, because people are not Vaishnavas, they fight perpetually among one another and are vanquished without finishing the mission of human life. There is a great need to propagate the Krishna consciousness movement in the world so that even though people sometimes become angry and malicious towards one another, because of their being Krishna conscious, such rivalry, competition, and envy can be adjusted without difficulty. Om Ajnanatimandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmittan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we see in this section Lord Vishnu's affectionate dealings with Prithu Maharaj, that when Lord Vishnu comes and instructs Prithu Maharaj, Indra also accompanied Lord Vishnu. And he felt ashamed of his activities of stealing the horse, the Swami sacrifice, 100 Ashwamedha sacrifice which Prithu Maharaj was performing. So that Prithu Maharaj does not complete that sacrifice, he stole that horse. Thus, it's mentioned that if a person completes 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices, he can qualify himself to become Lord Indra. So Lord Indra became envious and he stopped that sacrifice by stealing the horse. And as a result, Prithu Maharaj was angry at Lord Indra, and no, there was tension between both Prithu Maharaj and Lord Indra. So here, when Lord Indra accompanied Lord Vishnu, immediately he feels ashamed of his activities and he falls down before Prithu Maharaj. That's the ideal way, that if you have committed an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, the only person who can forgive us is that Vaishnava himself. As in the case of Amrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni, when Durvasa Muni had offended Amrish Maharaj, Sudarshan Chakra was following Durvasa Muni and nobody could save Durvasa Muni till he had to fall down on the lotus feet of Amrish Maharaj. So here Indra fell down at the lotus feet of Prithu Maharaj, but Prithu Maharaj did not allow that and immediately embraced Indra. And thus they reconciled both the differences instead of being angry at each other. Both of them adjusted to have a cooperative behavior. Srila Prabhupada stresses cooperative behavior between Vaishnavas is a first-class example. How, as Vaishnavas, we can cooperate with each other so that with a common goal to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. That's our common goal. Instead of thinking of I and mine and this is gone and that is taken and feeling envy for Vaishnavas or feeling angry towards Vaishnavas, if we can give up that anger and malicious thoughts towards one another and instead cooperatively serve the Supreme Lord, then there is no, the rivalry is in then just service to the Supreme Lord, not rivalry against each other or envy against each other. So it's a nice example set here where Indra atones for his acts, and Prithu Maharaj immediately, um, um, also feels wrong about him being angry, and he embraces Indra, and then, cooperatively they move forward. Yeah, that's all I had.
Guru Maharaj, anything on this first verse?
Yes. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtata Deshadama. significant here is the word like vriditam. King Indra felt ashamed. Apologies and requests for forgiveness should be sincerely felt. Just to offer a superficial apology pro forma is perhaps more vexing than appreciated. Apologies like, if anything I did if you happen to feel offended by anything I did, then I apologize. That kind of mealy-mouthed, half-hearted, what's the word? Mealy-mouthed, half-hearted apology, full of weasel words, hedges. That kind of apology is like useless. That means I didn't do anything wrong, but if you're so crusty and prickly that you felt offended by my perfect activities, well, I'm really sorry. That kind of apology is not going to take us very far. Apologies should be sincerely felt. Vriditam, I offended you, and I feel ashamed that I offended a Vaishnav. That sincere feeling, just like Prithu Maharaj, not Prithu Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj in the first canto, felt ashamed that he had offended that Shamik Rishi. He was so ashamed that he didn't even, he felt that it would further embarrass the sage if he were to come and apologize personally. But he felt, may my whole kingdom burn up because of, may I get all the sinful reactions so that it doesn't come on anyone else. He felt genuinely ashamed to have insulted a sage. So if we commit offenses to Vaishnavas, we should feel genuinely repentant and ashamed, which implies, among other things, that we stop doing it, that we correct the ill behavior, not that, well, I got away with it and let it stand. And then I'll, as they say, what is it? It's easier to ask forgiveness. So we know your intention was to get your own way and then ask forgiveness later. That kind of hypocritical apology is not very much appreciated. It's just part of a scheme that overstep your authority and then apologize. But when apologies are sincere, when genuine repentance is there, and Srila Prabhupada says in the first canto that all one's sinful reactions are burnt up in the fire of sincere repentance. So almost inevitably we do offend others sometimes. We do act in such a way, thoughtlessly or enviously, that we cause anxiety or trouble to others. So we should repent that and fix it if we've done something wrong to the extent that it's in our power. We should not let it stand. We should fix it. Sadhu Ninda, there's a reference in Shastra somewhere to the effect that if I've bad-mouthed a sadhu, then in the same assembly where I've committed the offense, I should beg forgiveness for the offense. not that I publish, what's the word? I broadcast your ill fame, and then I quietly ask your forgiveness. That's, again, hypocrisy and foolishness. But fortunately, according to the seriousness of the offense, we should feel repentant, we should feel ashamed, and should want to correct our own mistakes. And that, and of course, the Vaishnavas, their nature is to forgive. Their nature is, yes, to forgive. So we can expect that if we're sincere, then we'll be sincerely forgiven. Hare Krishna.
We have a few things in the chat. First from Shama Sindhu Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavats to all online. Who does one apologize to if the Vaishnava they offended leaves their body?
That's a tough one. As I recall, there's a statement in Shastra that in such regrettable circumstances, we should go on chanting the holy name and repent our offense. What can we do? Sometimes the representative of the devotee is there, the son, the wife, or the husband. That may help. But in any case, at least our heartfelt repentance should be there, plus whatever we can do to set things straight. Also, therefore, we should also try to fix these things before the Vaishnavas leave their body. We know everyone's going to die. So if we remain obstinate no, let him apologize first, then you run this risk that the Vaishnav you've offended may die, and you may not have the opportunity to beg forgiveness, especially if the Vaishnavas are older. That may be there, that the opportunity will disappear. So one should not delay. Hare Krishna.
Another question from Murai Gupta Prabhu, Hare Krishna Maharaj. It struck me that Vaishnavas need to cooperate because they have a mission to help the world. If it were not for that, everyone could do their own things separately.
Yes. We should cooperate. Let me just think about this. There's some quite credible research in sociology of religion that indicates that an organization is especially prone for schisms under these conditions. The organization stands in opposition or aloofness to the world. We don't sign on to what the world is doing. We have our own standard, not number one. And number two, members are deeply committed, or they've committed their lives for the organization. And number three, the organization puts a high value on harmony among its members and tries to avoid disagreement. So basically, that's us. We fit all three categories. The reason why for these three, if it's in what order did I put them in? Well, if you're if you're wholeheartedly dedicated to something, then whatever happens in that organization matters. If it's just a, social club that you sometimes visit, so what, whatever happens. But if you've dedicated your life to a cause, then that matters more than anything else. So we put our whole energy into it. And therefore, when there's, yes, so that makes it sort of ripe for disagreement. Then the second thing is standing apart from the world. It's only us. We have no one but one another. We can't just go out and involve ourselves in outside things, because outside things are Maya. So that increases the sort of focus of all the energy within the organization. And then the third thing is that we value harmony, and therefore we suppress, either corporately or individually, suppress disagreement. And so the disagreement is still there, but we hold it in check for the sake of the greater good. But we risk that it builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and finally it crashes through the safeguards, and then you have all-out disruption. You have all-out disruption, because then everything is freighted on whatever the disagreement is. Superficially, the disagreement may be about this or about that, but really what it's about is it's about everything. The time when you said this to me, the time when you insulted my wife, the time when this, the time when that, it all gets loaded on whatever the present issue is, and then it becomes difficult to solve. So we need to be particularly careful. All I can figure out from that analysis, and again, this isn't the analysis of the Acharyas, it's a mundane mundane analysis. But all that I can figure out is that at least we should be, rather than just set everything aside, if something matters for us, all right, bring it up to the person and say, this is the issue. So let's clear the air, get it out of our system, even if it may be a little rough. Let us try to solve it. Not that everything has to be made an issue of. That becomes excessive another way. But rather than leave unsolved issues festering, all right, let's talk it out and solve it so that we can continue in a good spirit and not be just grudgingly cooperating until all hell breaks loose. Yes.
Guru Maharaj, was there a statement to the effect of, you will show my love for me by how well you all cooperate?
Yes. So we do place high importance on cooperation. Our founder Acharya asked us to cooperate. Our good sense tells us that if we want to get something done, especially with, when we're just a small band, then we should cooperate. And therefore we should place great importance on cooperation. We should put petty disagreements aside. We should do all those things. But we should be mindful that even doing that has its possible problems associated with it. And so if we can clear things up with our colleagues, our confreres, as they say, co-workers, that's best. Also, we should work overtime to be humble and not to commit offense, to be mild, to be gentle, to develop the Vaishnava qualities. So that means strictly following the 4 regular principles and chanting 16 rounds daily. at least. Hare Krishna.
We have a comment from Saraswati Mata. Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Often we see that a person may have targeted us out of envy, but later were remorseful, and yet the person offended cannot let go of the wrongdoing for a long time, if at all. This is not good because there is no acknowledgement that the person who offended us changed, and to hold on to the grudge against them hurts all parties concerned.
Yeah, therefore we should try to be forgiving, but not that, a part of this is obsessiveness. The disagreements come from obsessiveness. It wasn't such a big thing, but we obsess over it, and therefore it becomes a big thing, and everything gets added to it, and we can't let go. And so we read ourselves the narrative of how we did the right thing, but they did the wrong thing. They're still doing the wrong thing. So we should try to break that pattern, and through genuine humility and forgiving nature. Genuine humility and a forgiving nature. When during some difficult days in ISKCON, some of the leading members of ISKCON quite grievously offended Srila B.R. Sridhar Maharaj, or you can say that corporately ISKCON offended him. And therefore, at one point, ISKCON sent a group of a delegation to offer apologies to him. Tamal Krishna Goswami led the group. Other GBC men were there. I was also there. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj presented to Srila Sridhar Maharaj that we feel that we've offended you this and that way. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said that I never felt that you offended me. He said, but if you think that you've offended me, then officially I forgive you. And this is the behavior of an exalted Vaishnava.
We have a comment from Panchatattva Prabhu. This is from TKG's diary, a selection from October 13th, 1977, entitled, Even Srila Prabhupada, who is faultless, asked forgiveness from his godbrothers. And it reads, 2 telegrams arrived. One was from Madhava Maharaj in Chandigarh, praying to Bhakti Siddhanta and Gaura Krishna for Prabhupada. Prabhupada immediately had a telegram sent reading, Thank you. Excuse my offenses, all godbrothers. Prabhupada is so humble, and he is always asking forgiveness to anyone he meets.
Yes, in Prabhupada's last days, he very feelingly expressed his regret to his godbrothers for having offended them. Said, in the course of preaching, I committed offenses, please forgive me. And of course, they all said, no, you never committed offenses. But that was Prabhupada's sincere move. Very feelingly, he expressed that. I could also add that as we should try to seek forgiveness for our offenses before those who we've offended leave the world, we should also try to set things straight before we leave the world. That's a part of how a cultured person, how a Vaishnava leaves the world. He doesn't want to leave with a long list of grudges and unresolved offenses, but seeks the blessings of the Vaishnavas, blessings of the devotees, and seeks forgiveness for whatever offenses he may have committed.
We have a comment from Praveen Krishna Prabhu. He quotes the final line of the purport that although people sometimes become angry and malicious toward one another, because of their being Krishna conscious, such rivalry, competition, and envy can be adjusted without difficulty. He says, this seems a very high ideal. I see some devotees back out from the competition to be peaceful and maintain relationships. Let me do my bhajan and small preaching and let them manage the show. I know some of them could have done wonders.
Yes, that's sometimes there, that rather than fight it out, we retire from the arena. That's certainly an option. And under some circumstances, that may be appropriate. We think that, well, Krishna wants me to do something else. Let me do some other thing. That's one approach to such matters, rather than get into a gladiatorial combat. Otherwise, for the service of the spiritual master, one may stick to one's guns without enmity toward those who one may be opposing on some issue, but the kind of regret that I'm sorry that I have to oppose you, but this is my duty. Please don't mind, but this disagreement is a matter of principle. So it's my duty, even though I may have to commit some offense. In that way, at least we can try to take it off the platform of personal enmity. Well, it's a question of principle, a question of the issue at hand, but it's not personal enmity. It doesn't mean I think you're a dog because I disagree with you, but we do disagree, and we may have to take the matter forward, standing on different sides of the issue. This was shown by Arjuna before the Kurukshetra war. On the opposite side, Bhishma Dev is there, Dronacharya is there, his grandfather, his guru. So Arjuna shot an arrow at the lotus feet of Dronacharya, offering obeisances. And now I'm going to have to oppose you in battle. Although I've learned everything from you, although you're my revered guru, still, as a matter of duty, I'm going to have to fight against you. And so he offered his respects first. And Dronacharya said, sent an arrow in return, just touching the top of Arjuna's head. Yes, be blessed. So that's the behavior of advanced Vaishnavas. And it's, even if I have to, as a matter of duty, oppose you, still I'll respect you. And especially those who are in a superior position, those who are worthy of our respect. And the Vaishnava thinks practically that who is there that's not superior to me? Of course, we can't take that, but all the Vaishnavas are worthy of respect. So rather than badmouth the Vaishnava and why is he on the other side? He's just, a slave of Duryodhana, and so on. No, still, although he's on the opposite side, we have so much respect for him.
And still Dronacharya even taught Drishtadyumna in spite of knowing he was going to kill him.
Yes, just see these ideal persons.
We have another comment, Gurumaj, or question from Roy Gupta Prabhu. If we know something is not the best solution, but the majority want it, should we cooperate and agree, or stick to our guns, hoping others will agree with us?
That's a question of principle. In general, all right, the majority has decided, but sometimes there's a matter of principle. And even though the whole world may stand against me, I won't change my determination. That may sometimes be required. I learned this in a practical form from His Grace Anuttama Prabhu. He gave a very good, valuable seminar on leadership, and he gave an example of a sort of an exercise that was done. And in this exercise, people divided up into different groups, and each group had some issue to decide, and the decision had to be unanimous. They couldn't, they had to reach a decision, and the decision had to be unanimous. And at least one group, and maybe all of them, but at least one group had plants in it. That is to say, people planted for the purpose of backing a decision that was obviously wrong. So, and then in that group, because those planted people were strong and speaking strongly, everybody went along with them. Except in one group, there was one woman, and she just stuck to her guns. The whole majority, everybody else was against her. And the pressure was on because we have to reach a decision. And you're the only person who's standing between us and resolving this matter. But she didn't budge. And I think she was the only one. Maybe the other groups didn't have that. So sometimes, even if the whole world stands against me, as a matter of duty, I have to stick to my position. But that should not be our routine operating mode, to stand against the world on everything, to yield no ground, to give no concession. In general, all right, give and take. Sometimes we give, sometimes we take, sometimes we set aside our concerns and go along with what others may have in mind. But sometimes the issue is so crucial that one has to stand one's ground, even though that may invite disagreement.
Morai Gupta says, "Thank you, Maharaj. I had one small comment. I was thinking about Jiva Goswami's grammar. Oh, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Guru Dasa Jayādvaita Swami Niti Namani. If I may, the dhatu is the living force of language, and so when like in the foreword to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada says that the meaning can be the character of the living force and immortality. Chaitanya. So Chaitanya is the dhatu, the force of all language, and the particular pratyaya that visasarja, vidvesham visasarja, this duplication, it only happens in bhutesha pratyayas, which means Jiva Goswami says it's Lord Shiva's bhutesha, but it's like a bhuta, like a ghost from the past. So that past tense, he gave up. It's now it's no longer an issue. The envy is no longer an issue. So that living force of the Vaishnavas, it can't carry any envy forward. It just becomes a ghost of the past, that we're always working towards cooperation. We're always working towards loving harmony and unity. I just thought about, just grammatically, it seemed nice to me, the vidvesham visasarja, that only happens in bhutesha pratyayas.
Thank you. By the strong force of Krishna consciousness, most disagreements should be easily set aside, because we recognize that we stand for a common cause, for a common purpose, that the interests of the spiritual master and Krishna stand above our own interests. So my own prestige, my own reputation, my own image of myself are less important than satisfying Krishna. For the materialist, everything's about himself. And so he may be ready to fight with the whole world. Or even if he surrenders, again, it's on the platform of his own sense gratification. So who knows which way he'll really go. When his sense gratification is affected, that's the direction he goes in. But the sincere Vaishnavas want to please Krishna, and because that stands above their personal considerations, they can easily set aside slights to themselves or differences of opinion or what's the word? Untidy behavior on the part of others, aggression even on the part of others. All right. And he sees also, if he's philosophical, the modes of nature are acting. Why should I be upset by that? A person is not a bad person, only some superficial material qualities are at work. Also, he may see that this is Krishna's arrangement. It's not, he may be the agent, this person or that person, but Krishna has some plan, Krishna has some desire. So why should I divide the world into friends and enemies? Prahlad Maharaj speaks about that. The materialist sees everything in terms of friends and enemies, but the devotee sees udasina vadasina. What is that? Many places actually in Bhagavad Gita. Madhyashta dveshu bandhushu sadhushvapi chapapeshu samabhutir vishishite. A self-realized person sees everyone equally because he stands above the comings and goings of the modes of material nature. So by being situated on the transcendental platform, one can avoid so many problems. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada instructed Hridayana Maharaj, I've mentioned this before, that as GBC, your job is to see that everyone is chanting 16 rounds and strictly following the regulative principles. Then management is at your fingers' ends, that is your fingertips. If everyone's chanting and following the regular program of activities, then management's easy because everyone's in Krishna consciousness. And if people aren't Krishna consciousness, then it's aren't Krishna conscious. It's very difficult because everyone's, all still under the dictation of material energy. So the most important thing is to be genuinely situated in Krishna consciousness individually and as a group. Then everything can be so much more easily resolved. Not that we should make enemies of the Vaishnavas because of this, because of that. That's very wrong. It's very wrong. And it will come back on us and make our Krishna consciousness so much more difficult. Friends and enemies. Prahlad Maharaj has so much to say against that. Suradam Sarvabhutana. Krishna is the best friend of all living beings. the Vaishnavas should also be a well-wishing friend to all others.
Thank you, Maharaj. Panchatattva Prabhu has a comment reminiscent of the conference you attended with Anuttama Prabhu. He says, in a play called 12 Angry Men, all the jurors were against the accused for different selfish reasons mostly, but one man saw the flaw in their positions and with polite but unyielding determination managed to turn them all and save the life of the mistakenly accused. And perhaps, Panchatattva Prabhu, would you be willing to read 4:20:19?
Sure. Bhagavan atha vishvatma prituno paritarhanaha samujjihanaya bhaktya grihita charanambuja. King Prithu abundantly worshipped the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was so merciful to him. While worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, Prithu Maharaj gradually increased his ecstasy in devotional service. Purport. When various ecstasies appear in the body of a devotee, it is to be understood that his devotional service has become perfect. There are many types of transcendental ecstasies in the forms of crying, laughing, perspiring, falling down, and crying like a madman. All these symptoms are sometimes visible on the body of a devotee. They are called Ashtasattvika Vikar, which means 8 kinds of transcendental transformations. They are never to be imitated, but when a devotee actually becomes perfect, these symptoms are visible on his body. The Lord is Bhakta Vatsala, which means that he is inclined towards his pure devotee, Bhakta. Therefore, the transcendental ecstatic transaction between the Supreme Lord and his devotee is never like the activities of this material world. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhule Govardhana Jayādvaita Swami Nityanandamane. This, I say something, but this is way above my level of realization, what to speak of. Anyway, these things happen when a devotee is pure in his service to the Lord, and there's a reciprocal relationship between the Lord and his devotee. And here it's explained that devotee or does experience these types of symptoms. And, of course, what comes to mind is the descriptions of Srila Prabhupada apparently going into an ecstatic samadhi sometimes on rare occasions in front of disciples. So these things go on. There's a nice section in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in Anchulila where Lord Chaitanya is he goes into ecstasy seeing a particular parvat, a particular sand dune in Jagannath Puri, and takes it to be Govardhan Hill and is rushing towards Govardhan Hill in ecstasy. And all of these Ashtasattvika Vikara, these symptoms are manifesting, and the description is extremely extraordinary and indeed very confidential. So, of course, that's Lord Chaitanya. But devotees themselves can experience these types of things in their relationship with the Lord in very advanced stage of Krishna consciousness. That's all I can say. Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj, would you like to say something?
Having purified relationships with the devotees also clears the way for ecstatic devotional service to the Lord. It's hard to be situated in pure devotional service to the Lord while we hate his devotees, that stands in the way. So, yes. Hare Krishna.
We have a comment from Praveen Krishna Prabhu. He says, the place is called Prithu Udaka, where Prithu Maharaj cried tears seeing the Lord. This is situated around an hour journey from Kurukshetra.
Another thought is that retirement from material activities is also conducive to freeing oneself from these kind of disagreements. In management, we naturally wind up sometimes doing harsh things or considering people in terms of their managerial considerations rather than their own personal welfare. That sometimes happens, and we sometimes commit offense in the discharge of our duties, or in terms of our occupation. We have competitors, we have people who are for me and people who are against me, and all of that. And therefore, one is meant to retire from those material activities, which automatically frees one from so many controversies and disputes that are associated with performing one's duties in such matters. So, therefore, everyone is advised to retire from family life and material activities at a mature stage.
We have one final comment, and I think we'll move on to Kirtan after that. Saraswati Mata says, it is difficult to read about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body becoming disjointed and how he sheds tears of blood. Any final thoughts, Guru Maharaj?
No.
All right. May I call upon Krishna Kaunteya Prabhu? Are you willing to lead us in our closing Kirtan?
Yes, Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, 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 Nita Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Brunandi Haribo, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Srimati Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj Itinamani. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Prasacha Deshatane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Sri Guru Rangaranga Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hare Bo.
Thank you all so much for attending today's Srimad Bhagavatam discussion with His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj. We look forward to your company tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
The Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Hare Bo.
Oh, and it looks like in the comments we have a picture from Praveen Krishna Prabhu of Prathodaka, the location he had mentioned in his previous comment.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Praveen.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
He's off.
Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna Kante Prabhu.
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Jai Krishna Kante Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.